Dude, 400 and something watts after all the work you've done is still really impressive. And I know people watching this video are going to see these numbers and think that you're a superhuman. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. With me is my buddy Glenn from the Netherlands. Welcome back, Glenn.
Hey, Jeff, thank you. And I'm excited to talk about the coming race.
Yeah, me too, man. There's only 2 left. So this is his interclub race, and this is part of an omnium. We have an attack from the whistle. So this is pretty exciting, and this is Red Gloves. So let's just catch you guys up. If you guys remember from the last video, which was the week before this, Red Gloves is sitting second in the overall competition by 17 seconds, I think. Is that it?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it right.
And also, more importantly for Glenn, he's sitting second in the sprint points competition, which Glenn is currently leading by 11 points. So this is a very relevant attack, and you don't see them too often from the whistle like this.
No, but it's a good thing, and we can use it in our advantage, and let him dangle, let him expand his energy, and when it really counts, then we're gonna reel it in.
Yeah, I've talked about this. I think I even made an Alviso video about this specific strategy, which is let him dangle. Like Glenn said, there isn't a big rush to bring him back. Just let him sit out there with a 5 or 10 second gap with 43 kilometers to go, a solo rider, especially on a course like this. It's just so unlikely that he's going to stay off the front by himself. And by the way, Glenn, you don't have no obligation to chase yourself, because even though he's second in the points competition, he's also second in GC. So you know that the leader, who, by the way, is in that blue jersey, the leader is the person who's going to be worried about him getting away, even though it's unlikely. He's going to be the one that's obligated to chase him back if push comes to shove.
Yeah, and the guy here in front of me is making the bike race fast, so no one is really
motivated to get to the front.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to attack and bridge him up, because it's just cost a lot of energy to ride 45 k's an hour.
Yeah, and with only 2 races left, including this one, only one more after this. What are your goals, Glenn?
Yeah, I just want a green jersey. I want to win something out of it.
So you're in pretty good position. You're 5th overall in the GC, only a little over a minute behind, but your main focus is the points, right?
Yeah, secure the jersey and maybe come a bit closer in the GC, and then in the final race we just see what happens. And yeah, I teamed up with another guy, so
yeah, let's actually fast forward a bit. We'll talk more about that. All right, now here's Red Gloves on the right, who's now been brought back, and we have the predictable counterattack, which you always see once a breakaway is brought back. But I want to point something out here, Glenn. You've done a really good job. Oh, there's the race leader, by the way, in the blue jersey. And I want you guys to remember these white legs here in front of you. White legs, white socks, white shoes. He's going to play an important role in this race. But for right now, I want you to focus on the blue jersey of the overall lead, who's attacking off the front. And Glenn, you have no obligation to chase that back, right? Because you don't have GC ambitions, like we just said. Like, you aren't very concerned about the overall leader going off the front right now, because you're trying to consolidate your points lead. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, exactly. Let other guys chase the blue jersey, and we can apply the same tactic as we did with Red Gloves. Let him dangle, let him expand his energy. So long as no other strong rider joins him, then he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, and I want to make that point real clear. I think this is what differentiates experienced riders from newer riders in this sport, is you are doing a good job of identifying the people around you and their motivations, and as a result, you're able to save a lot of energy, because it might have seemed really tempting to follow the blue jersey right back there, and you're thinking, hey, he must be strong. He's an overall race leader, so he must be a good wheel to follow. But it's not a good idea, because if you're with him, you know that the second place in the GC competition is going to be absolutely killing himself to chase you guys back. So you have to always be thinking about the motivations, especially in this situation where you're very close to the end of this series, and you're better off getting away with like 4 or 5 riders who have no interest in the GC or who have no interest in the points competition, because the guys who have the ability to chase that back, they're not going to be motivated to chase that group back. They're going to be very likely just to let it go. So you always have to be thinking about people's motivations, and that's going to save you a lot of energy in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. And The blue jersey recognized the tactic we were applying on him because after the race he got over me and he told me, yeah, in the first I was just waiting for you guys to catch me, but it took way too long. So he recognized the tactic.
They try to pull that on me sometimes at Alvisa. I'll kind of just fly my flag off the front and just maybe get a 5 or 10 second gap, and I'll notice that, oh, the field is doing the same thing that I usually do to them, which is just letting them dangle. And it's like, okay, well, I either have to commit 100% to this and try to roll in solo, which, by the way, if you know me, know my channel, I prefer it from about 200 meters to go. So solo's not my jam. More often than not, I just fall back to the group and kind of reassess. But here goes Silo White Sox that just attacked up the road, followed closely by Red Gloves, by the way. He's second in GC. So this is another great example of Glenn being very situationally aware and thinking, I don't have to chase that unless the blue jersey chases it instead, which he just did. That's why I got excited. So now Glenn has to chase. Now you see the watts go up. So if the blue jersey of the overall lead and second place in GC are both off the front, alarm bells are going off, and that's when Glenn uses the energy to close this gap down. But if one of them goes off the front, then Glenn knows I can sit back in the draft and I can recover, save energy, and let other people chase instead. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit nuanced, guys, but you always have to be aware of that if you want to save energy, be in the right position, and win a bike race. Yeah,
and you see here, guys were attacking each other, and I had the speed from the peloton, and I tried to attack and just push them a little more. Yeah, and you guys remember white shoes, white legs, white socks? Well, that's Glenn's buddy, and he happens to be in Glenn's draft right now. And the interesting thing about him is he is also high up in the GC, so he is pursuing the GC competition. Meanwhile, Glenn is interested, like we said, in the points competition. So they're going to work well together, and they're going to try to help each other with their respective goals. But unfortunately, you see right here, it doesn't work. You guys are brought back. But this is good because the timing of that attack, Glenn, was perfect. And you guys just keep piling on the pressure for these GC riders in the first and second positions to have to keep chasing you back. Yeah, and if you can do it together, he's a strong rider, then it just hurts a little bit more for the guys who are chasing. So yeah, it's like the 1-2. I mean, here you guys go again, trying once again. He's looking back at you too, like let's take it to him. And you're up over 400 watts consistent here. Dang, I don't see you that often over 180 beats per minute, Glenn. This is a tough day for you. Yeah, I'm hurting. You guys, I think you guys know the Ronde van Goor, the video we made. Since Ronde van Goor, I got 3 night shifts. So I was not all that fresh. But you're still committed to this effort, and here you go again up this hill, over 1,200 watts. So you're tasting blood in the water. You're sensing weakness right now. I can tell that you're just committed to really pushing hard and trying to drop the top 2 riders in the GC. Yeah, just piling on more pressure on them, and and your buddy almost crashed into the weeds right there. He was looking back, wasn't paying attention just for a second, almost went off the road. Okay, so Glenn and his buddy with the white shoes, white socks, white legs have done such a good job in the preceding few kilometers to force the overall leader in the blue jersey and the second GC leader with the white socks to do all this work on the front, to chase, to close down gaps. You can see Glenn, forcing the blue jersey back into rotation here, forcing him to chase his buddy with the white shoes, forcing him to chase Glenn, and they've just been piling on the pressure. And it wasn't until this moment right here when finally something happened and they got a little bit of daylight. And I want to walk you guys through the situation. So here's Buddy with the white shoes, and he is just going to roll off the front. And Glenn, you explained this to me brilliantly. Can you walk us through this? Yeah, okay, you see him go, and the guys in front of me are closing the peloton, closing the front of the race, so nobody's going to pass. And I tell him to go to the right so I can join him, and we can make our plan. The guy on the right is his little brother, so he wanna work. He's gonna work with us. And I yell at him, don't chase. And when I pass, I tell the guys to close the gap so no one can pass, and we can get a gap. And that is what exactly happened. And that was brilliant. That was perfect. And just put yourself in the blue jersey shoes. You've just done the last 5 kilometers of chasing and closing down these gaps and doing all this work. Oh, heads up, Glenn. Yeah. And then you kind of slot in and you're finally catching your breath, and then you see Glenn and Buddy with the white shoes roll off the front. And
And all you're thinking is, man, I wish the people on the front were chasing right now so I could sit in and they could close that gap for me. But like you said, you just worked it brilliantly. So they are blocking on the front is what we call it. It's not actually like physically blocking. It's just being on the front and not really riding fast, kind of riding a false tempo. Meanwhile, Glenn and his buddy here, who's now taking the front, are pushing 29 miles an hour, consistently rolling turns. And this is looking really good because now you've opened up a gap, right?
Yeah, and it's really great because this is an intermediate sprint round. So it's great for me. Even if this doesn't stick, I got the 5 points.
Brilliant, even better. Yeah, the timing couldn't have been better here, and I just love the setup for that. I hope we did that justice because there's a lot of really small nuance and detail in there that hopefully we touched on. If you guys have any questions about that, just feel free to drop a comment below. But here goes Glenn in now a UCI banned position. How dare you, Glenn?
Yeah, it was last year, so.
Okay, you're good.
And
you're off the hook.
I think I continue to do that when when the judges aren't looking.
Yeah. But look at that. He just rolls through, takes maximum points, extends his lead in the sprint competition by another 5 points. Well done. Let's fast forward a bit and see how you guys can manage to extend this gap and see how this race plays out. All right, Glenn, a couple of kilometers later, you guys have been working really well. Heart rate's 180 beats per minute. You're charging up this hill, and we're going to get the first glimpse of who's in this breakaway. Talk us through it.
Yeah, this is my buddy with the white shoes. This is the Master Racing who was in front of the race when we attacked. And this guy, yeah, I think you all know him. This is the Conti guy, the talented guy.
If you guys missed that attack from the last video, he attacked on this hill in the last video. I think the most popular comment I got in our last video was how he attacked over that hill, and he just looked like a pro, and it was pretty impressive. So he is, look, 550 watts, and you're not able to close this gap.
Yeah, just look at him. Just look at him. I shouted at him at this moment that he has to back down, but yeah, I just have to close the gap because he is going to ride.
The heart rate, Glenn, 183, man. I'm feeling your pain.
Yeah. Until this day, I feel the pain of this race. It was just such a hard day.
So this was the break of the day. Let's see if you guys can carry it to the finish. All right, a few kilometers later, and before we get to the finish, I forgot. We have a second sprint lap to contest here. But there actually isn't any contesting it. And I think a lot of people don't realize how it works when you're in a breakaway. Glenn, you want to talk us through that?
Yeah. These guys don't have the motivation to get the sprint points, so it's my responsibility to get them. They are not going to contest me, but they are not going to look over the shoulder and say, "Hey, that's your sprint points." So we're gonna ride a little bit slower for you to get the sprint points. No, it's on you. And if they're gonna sprint for it, then you also got the sprint for it.
But they shouldn't be, right? I mean, there's kind of an unspoken agreement when you're in a breakaway like this. They're not contesting you for the sprint points, so they shouldn't be out sprinting you for it. And it should just be a matter of you rolling a consistent turn and everyone just maximizing the speed of the group. And now that you've gobbled up those points, congrats, by the way, maximize your points in the first two sprints of this race. Let's just do the math really fast. You started with an 11-point lead. You just got 10 more. So that brings you to a 21-point lead. Now let's assume Red Gloves, who was sitting second in the sprint competition, let's assume that he got maximum points and he won out of the group behind. That means he only got 2 points, 1 point for each sprint. That means your lead now is 19 points. Now let's look forward to the finish. Let's assume worst case scenario again, Glenn, and you get fourth out of this group, and then Red Gloves gets first out of the field. That's another point that you're ahead of him. That leaves 20 points coming into the final day. Well, there's only 20 points on offer for the entire final day of racing. So at this point, how are you feeling about your chances in the sprint competition?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to get this green jersey, because if I can get 85 points in the whole competition, I can get 1 point in the final stage.
That's a good point. Yeah. What are the chances that Glenn, who's gotten 85 points so far, is going to complete the last day without getting a single sprint point? That is almost a 0% chance. And that also assumes that Red Gloves is going to gobble up every other competition. So it's at this point where Glenn is thinking, okay, sprint points are locked down. Congrats, by the way, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And now you're going to commit yourself to this breakaway, right?
Yeah. I got an agreement with the white legs and the white shoes that would help him with the GC, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with every might in me, what I got still left from those night shifts.
Glenn raced his legs off 3 days before this, and then worked 3 night shifts, and now here he is. And I've done a number of races of yours now, Glenn, and I don't think I've ever seen your heart rate this high. And you're rolling hard turns here, and now you're committed because now there's a different motivation. You've kind of switched gears in your brain, pardon the pun. You've switched gears in your brain, and you're thinking points are on lock. But now, not only are you helping your friend, you also have your own personal interest, because what's your gap at this point back to the peloton?
Yeah, I think at that moment we got about a minute. So.
And you're only 67 seconds behind coming into this race. So now you're thinking, man, maybe you can get the sprint points, and maybe you can contest the overall as well, because that's really close now too. So this all of a sudden has become such a dynamic race.
Yeah, it's great.
So let's cut forward to the finish and see how the end of this race plays out. All right, Glenn, heart rate's still over 180 beats per minute. We're on the last lap. The fireworks are about to go off. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, as much as I would love to win the bike race, I really don't have to win the bike race. I want to make sure I'm in a good lead and get some points. And you see here the Conti guy is attacking with the master in his wheel, and I'm shouting to my buddy, get on my wheel and I'm gonna bring you back to him.
This looks like such a painful move.
Yeah.
184 beats per minute, you're up over 600 watts, but you just need to maintain contact, right? Like the Conti rider he doesn't care about sprint, he doesn't care about GC, he just wants to win the stage. So he's trying once on this hill, and you're basically 189 beats per minute, doing everything you possibly can just to maintain contact, which is great. It looks like your buddy thought about a counterattack there.
Yeah, but he was sharp. The Conti rider was sharp, and he was expecting it.
Yep.
And at this moment, I tell the guys to play no more games, and I'm gonna lead them out to the finish.
Yeah, I've made a couple of videos at Alviso and other races on my channel about this cat and mouse game where everyone starts looking at each other and the speed comes way down, and you don't want that. I saw your power came down to 150 there for just a handful of seconds, but you can't have that, right? Because you just want to keep it fast for your buddy, the agreement you made with your buddy with the white legs, and also for yourself. You just want to, at this point, just get to the finish as fast as possible, so it looks like you're just leading it out.
Yeah, and I'm coming up on my agreement with white shoes, white legs.
Yep, and this is 186 beats per minute. I know you're not impressed, Glenn, with this power, but like, dude, 400 and something watts after all the work you've done is still really impressive. And I know people watching this video are going to see these numbers and think that you're a superhuman, which you are at this point, because like it's so hard to pull off.
Well, that's a nice compliment. I was suffering. I don't know how I suffered through this race, but I did.
300 meters to go. You're just thinking, at what point are they going to jump you?
Yeah, it was an exciting moment, and it was a bit fun to watch them sprint.
Oh, there's something about that Pro Conti rider, man. Just the way he sprints. There is like the way he attacked over the hill in the last video. So anyway, he takes the race, which was kind of predictable. Your buddy gets second, but most importantly, you and your buddy gain 60 seconds in the overall. So give us an update now on where we are standings wise.
Yeah, we are on 7 seconds of the GC leader. So the final is going to be a very exciting race.
I'm so excited to check that footage out and share it with you guys. And then the sprint competition, how did things shake out there? Where do you stand at this point?
Yeah, I won it. I got 21 points on Red Gloves. He only got one intermediate sprint point, and he won the bunch sprint, so that's 7 points.
So that's locked up. You don't even have to show up. You've already won that.
Yeah, I won it.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, man.
And I'm
thrilled.
Thanks for coming on, as always. I'm really excited to check out the final. I want to see if you can close down those 7 seconds. I mean, you got 60 today. Why can't you get 7 in the final? I'm excited to check it out. And if you guys are excited too, don't forget to click the subscribe button. That way you won't miss the finale of the 2020 season.
Yeah, Jeff. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah. Catch you next time.
Bye.